We are at one of the barns that we have on the estate, and we're here to talk to Bridget and Henrietta, who are the land gardeners. This is an incredible book. It's one of a few books that they have. A dear friend of mine gave me this for my birthday. I was like, oh my gosh, this is what the flowers here are supposed to look like. It's all English flowers grown in a beautiful historic walled garden. And I immediately knew that we had to put the walled garden back into practice.
And then this path comes from that.
So they're helping us restore the walled garden. In addition though, Bridget and Henrietta's real passion is soil quality. One of the many things that they're doing on the estate with us is this very exciting composting. We know that our soil on the estate needs to be made healthy again. As you both know, we've damaged our soil by using artificial fertilizers and pesticides for decades. What is it about compost that is going to help us get our soil back?
Just a pinch of this stuff is all you need to grow like little seedlings.
And they do know that there are more microbes in a teaspoon of soil than there are people on the world. I mean, which is just mind-boggling.
And so you actually just need a little bit of that to be with the seed and to have the seed tumble around in it, and then all around the seed coatings, all this microlife, it goes into the soil and then actually just is an amazing environment for that seed to grow in.
Most people are used to compost that takes 2 years, right? They've got the compost bin and they spin it and it takes 2 years. What is it that you're doing that's taking only 6 weeks?
It starts with hay, leaves, straw, and then we'll do a layer of nitrogen, which is fresh greens, or it can be farmyard manure. And then run over it with the turner, mixing water, and also we'd do a layer of clay, 10% clay, and that seems to be the really important ingredient.
We're looking at the temperature and the oxygen and the moisture levels. So we regulate the temperature, so we kill all the bad microbes, but we don't, so much compost is just blasted to a really high heat, like pasteurizing milk.
Yep.
You know, you kill all those goodies, all the good microbes. So we keep it at a certain temperature so that we keep the goodies. There is a microbe in the soil which is the same as the one in our gut, and it stimulates serotonin in the brain. So that whole feel-good thing when you go gardening and you think, oh, actually that made me feel much better. Actually, there's a real scientific reason now that what you're imbibing, whether you're touching it or breathing it in, is actually like the microbes in our gut, which makes you feel good.
Supposedly 500 years ago, the Chinese would go on holiday with a little bag of soil from their gardens, and if they felt unwell, they'd just take a little pinch, because in a way, effectively, they were just supplementing their microbiome.
The vegetables that our grandparents were eating were so much more nutrient dense than what we're eating because our soils are so depleted.
The great thing about this is not only will we be able to replenish your soils here on the farm and not bring in all these chemical inputs.
The other thing is these big floods we're having and winds, and our soil is not able to deal with that. So you're getting these huge amounts of water just running off, and the soil isn't able to hold it and absorb it. Using this compost and regenerating the land we're going to improve the structure of the soil so that it's more robust in the face of climate change.
And the roots will be deeper.
Absolutely.
We don't know the sort of silver bullet, but what we want to do is trial putting this stuff into the ground on a large scale.
And we're measuring, right? You guys have already got some really exciting data. What were the numbers when we were looking at the number of worms that were in the...
We went from sort of 3 worms to 47 worms in one area. So that was pretty exceptional after 3 weeks.
We know that we've got to make it work financially, economically for a farm, because all these farms around England are buying in these huge amounts of chemicals and spending so much money. And I think the other thing about that whole chemical story is that it's absolutely disempowered the farmers. They went from people who knew their land, knew their animals, how to rotate it, really connected to their soil, to suddenly being treated like factory farmers where they were given chemicals and they became completely disconnected from the land.
I mean, it's so arrogant to think that we can make products that are better than what nature does itself. you know, this is like gold dust. I mean, I don't know many people that would get so excited about this sort of stuff coming.
Well, it's exciting. Charles and I are just loving the learning. I think there's such an opportunity for us to do some very important experimenting for the community. The issue of responsible farming is actually one of the most important questions of our time. Get all the latest news from Althorp delivered to your inbox for free. Sign up at spencer1508.com.